Oh boy, smooching time!
In a global time of crisis, socially based meetings are considered especially difficult. In separate states, the dedicated dimwits who brave the internet in search of laughs are creating a series of slideshows known as Quarantine Presents. These are their presentations.
All right, babies. I want, for anyone watching, Sam, Corey, the 3 people who will probably watch this on Sam's YouTube channel, I want to apologize.
What are you
Because today
apologizing for?
we're doing some meme analysis, baby.
Meme analysis. Oh, there's so much here.
Now, if you think this is gonna be funny, I can assure you that this presentation will not be funny because, you know,
It's not gonna be funny because there's no audio.
Jason, you didn't share audio.
I'm gonna kill myself. Alright, let's try this again, fellas.
Nope.
I'm gonna scream.
There
Okay,
it
now
is.
Here we go.
Neat. Honestly, let's be fair, this is the best way to start this fucking
That
presentation.
was fantastic. That was perfect.
Set off the alarms, fucking cringe warning, cringe warning. I would rather talk about Riverdale again than make this video. I'd rather watch the Cats movie again. I would rather talk about the live-action adaptation of Beauty and the Beast than I would make this video. So go ahead, turn off your TVs, power down your computers, unsubscribe, because
No.
on a classic S to F tier of all
Please.
the presentations
Please
that
don't
I've done
unsubscribe.
so far, this presentation goes in the trash. In fact, when I'm done with this presentation, I'm moving to a cabin in the woods, and I'm not coming back. So let's start off this list by defining what a meme is.
Okay.
A meme, according to the dictionary, is an element of culture or system of behavior that may be considered to be passed from one individual to another by non-genetic means, especially imitation. Or a better way to do it, to say it, a humorous image, video, piece of text, etc. that is copied, often with slight variations, and spread rapidly by internet users. Now, if there's one thing that I despise more than anything in this world, it's talking about memes in an academic sense. Because doing so makes me feel like an old person trying to relate with the youth of the day. And there's a few reasons for that. Memes are nonsensical and can be completely random. Memes have an incredibly short shelf life. And sometimes you'll go to bed one day, and when you wake up the next day, all of a sudden you can't talk about Mac Tonight anymore. Memes are basically the modern day equivalent of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. In fact, I would argue that on the rules of the internet, somewhere in between the porn rule and the other porn rule, there should be a rule. No, there should be a commandment stating that you just don't talk about memes in an academic sense. But if we are going to talk about memes, what should we call this list? Meme Academy is already taken, so we can't go with that. Meme Academia? No, that's stupid. What should what do you think we should call it? Actor and musician David Bowie?
Meme school.
Ah, Meme School. That's a great one. Thank you, Goblin King. Now, before we get into this, I gotta give a big shout out to my man Corey. Because
Where'd you get that picture of me?
originally my presentation was supposed to be about all memes from 2010 to 2020. That's a decade of memes. Do you know what was popular back in 2010?
Rage Comics.
That was the height of the hide your kids, hide your wife bit.
Oh boy.
Nyan Cat came out a full year after that. Honestly, if I had to make that list, I would have just played the entirety of the late internet medley, followed immediately by Circle Tune's video about how to make a fresh meme, and then I would have thrown down a flashbang and gotten the fuck out of Dodge. But luckily, Corey was there to bail me out, and now I just have to talk about one meme, this meme in particular, and its many, many layers. So let's start off this meme analysis by talking about the most obvious and colorful meme that exists in this image, the political compass bit. Now, I'm not going to talk about this meme very much, mostly because politics are not funny, ever. Now, if you look at the words on this meme, you will notice that they have a bizarre flow to them. Young man, take the breadsticks and run. I said, young man, man door, hand hook car, gun. Now, I feel like this is trying to emulate something but I'm just not sure what it's supposed to be. Oh, that's it. Of course.
The Village People.
YMCA. Young man, take the breadsticks and run. I said, young man, Mandor hand hook our gun. Got it. I'm gonna be honest. I feel a little bit questionable about this meme being here, mostly because I think it's bizarre to take a song, something that an artist works so hard on, and put all their love and talent, time and energy into creating something beautiful, and then it just gets turned into just the butt of a joke. It just makes me so sad, honestly. Alexa, play Despacito. Now, what I would like to draw to your attention to is the authoritarian right section here. Take the breadsticks and run. And given that this meme is most likely a Tumblr funny meme, I think that this is very obviously trying to emulate the old shoving the breadsticks into my purse meme as pictured here. A meme, it makes you picture a woman on a date with her romantic partner of choice when they say something so obscene, so viscerally stupid and unacceptable and just wrong. The girl has no choice but to take all the Olive Garden breadsticks, throw down a flashbang, and get the fuck out of Dodge.
Oh my gosh.
Now, if you'll notice the last word pictured here, gun. This could be any number of memes. Gun. And that's it. I just put them all here. God, I'm gonna fucking strangle myself. Okay. Mandor hand hook car. Oh, this is based off of a 4chan green text that's trying to tell an old urban legend, and I'm gonna read off this urban legend. A girl and her boyfriend travel up to Lover's Lane to have a little fun. While the pair are making out listening to the radio, a sudden announcement interrupts them. This just in, the newscaster exclaims. Police have reported that a convict has escaped and is on the run. Official reports say that the man has a hook for a hand and is extremely dangerous. The girl is startled by the news and wants to go home, but her boyfriend locks the doors and tells her that everything will be fine. The pair go back at it, but the girl is on alert and everything is making her jump. The rustling of the leaves, the howling of the wind, what she thinks are footsteps in the distance, and finally a soft, metallic scratching sound right outside the car. I'm done, the girl exclaims. Take me home right now. The boy, upset, agrees and drives the girl home, silent the whole time, angry that his fun was ruined. The boy parks in front of her house and gets out to open her door, where he finds a bloody hook still hanging from the handle. Ooh, spooky. Now that you have some context, I'm going to read the green text that this is trying to exemplify, but I'm gonna try to make it scary. Same background, same creepy music. Man and girl go out to drive under moonlight. They stop at a side of road. He turned to his girl and say, Baby, I love you very much. What is it, honey? Our car is broken down. I think the engine is broken. I'll walk and get some more fuel. Okay, I'll stay here and look after our stereo. There have been news reports of stereos being stolen. Good idea. Keep the doors locked no matter what. I love you, sweaty. So the guy left to get full for the car. After 2 hours, the girl say, Where is my baby? He was supposed to be back by now. Then the girl hear a scratching sound and a voice say, Let me in. The girl doesn't do it, and then after a while, she goes to sleep. The next morning, she wakes up and finds her boyfriend still not there. She gets out to check. And man, door, hand, hook, car, door. As I said, greatest thing ever written. Added into other different memes, and even being set to the tune of music, such as Owl City's Firefly, and the very popular Mr. Sandman. Including one person who made an entire version of the Mr. Sandman bit you see here. It's really good.
Mr. Sandman, man me a sand, make him the cutest man cord or hook hand.
Am I missing anything? Young man, take best and strong. Young man. Nope, I think I've got everything. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Wait a minute, what is that? Enhance Vector 5. My god, more! Enhance more! Oh no. Could it be that this meme is in fact Loss? That can't possibly be. I mean, Loss is just an evil, cursed meme forged in the fires of hell by Hephaestus to punish mortals for their hubris. And yet it should have died in the fires that burned down the Library of Alexandria. Yet it remains, constantly haunting us. And sure, there's some people out there that might say, yeah, I mean, come on, Jason. I mean, it's just based on a comic. This comic, specifically. A comic of an artist dedicating his art to show an incredible tragedy that struck him and his significant other. A comic that the artist shared with us in a moment of weakness, a moment that probably just scars him to this day. It makes you wonder, why do we continually copy and paste it into our Disney movies and our children's animated cartoons? Because this isn't just some funny haha comic meme. This is a vile, evil, cursed concept that continues to corrupt man to this very day. During history's greatest tragedies, there it was. This comic can take mortal men and turn them into unthinking, unfeeling monsters. And that's exactly what the higher powers want from us.
What?
Not only for us to see tragedy as humorous, but also to destroy the last great bastion of free speech in the world. Comics. Because when an artist can no longer post their comics online without some smug, corrupted jackass asking, hey, is this loss? Then free speech and soon the entire free world crumbles. But I'm not the only man who sees this.
Oh
So you see,
no.
I found this video entitled The Terrible Truth Behind Lost JPEG. And I would like to play it for you now so that your eyes can be open too. And I know what you're going to say. Oh, Jason, really? It's one of those stupid fucking furry personas crossing their arms bit, telling us how to live our lives. But trust me, when you see this video, you're going to be pissed that this stupid, idiotic meme still exists to this day. And that's why this presentation is going right in the king tier. I'm going to throw myself into the fucking sea.
I want to tell you a little bit about Jorge Lucas. Jorge Lucas lived in the 20th century and made a big-time success in the late 1970s with hit movie Starfight, thanks to the likes of John Williams and cutting-edge practical and digital effects. It was one heck of a space opera, and after 2 sequels, the story came to a fitting conclusion. But the world had only had its first taste of space combat, and people wanted more. So Jorge got back to work and wrote and directed 3 more movies, the first of which was released just before the turn of the millennium. These films took place canonically before the previous 3, and thus were labeled the Prequels. This is Star Wars, the Preqs. To begin, I want to talk about how I'm going to look at these films. This is the analysis portion. The acting, the script, necessity of the film, quotability, and, of course, entertainment. Now, with all of that jargon out of the way, let's quit dipping our toes in the water and just flop face down in the deep end. We'll start with Episode 1, of course. Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, was released in 1999 to mixed reviews. This was the beginning of Jorge's directing exclusively in front of a blue screen. In fact, none of the world in this film is actually real. Trust me, don't look it up, that's a fact. Starting with the acting, it isn't great, but it's not terrible either. Ewan McGregor is good, Liam Neeson is fantastic, and this guy, I don't know his name. You know, to be fair, Jar Jar did the Ahmed best he could with the hand he was dealt.
Perish in a house fire.
Natalie Portman was young and not great, and the kid who played Arnold Schwarzenegger's son in Jingle All the Way was even younger and not greater than her. Now, if we talk about the script, it's not great, not awful.
Turbo time.
There's so much exposition in this dang movie due to it being the first chronological film in the saga, but it kind of comes in spurts like a mustard bottle on its last leg, and it just throws me for a loop. I also disliked almost all of the dialogue that involved royals or Gungans. Now, if we talk about the necessity, because this story is of how Anakin became part of the Jedi, you'd think that it would be pretty important. But the whole prequel trilogy would have felt more cohesive if it were a bit more in the same time frame, as opposed to having this 10-year gap between episodes 1 and 2, not as necessary as it may seem, you know? Quotability. I'm just going to go through a few quotes that I can recall from this film. We've got, "Now this is pod racing," said by Anakin Skywalker, while
That's
in
not
fact
from that-
pod racing.
That's not from episode 1.
What?
It's from
Yes,
a
it
different
is.
movie. No, it's from a different movie.
Excuse me?
All right, move on to the next one. Go ahead.
Oh, and then said by Boss Nass. And I'll be honest, those are pretty much the only two quotes that I can recall from this movie.
There's always a bigger fish.
You know, I couldn't think of that one.
Anakin doesn't say now this is pod racing when he's pod racing. He says it when he's flying a spaceship. He says this is pod racing when he's very much not pod racing.
Okay,
That
who
is- that
cares?
is
It
absolutely
doesn't matter.
right.
Who cares?
Entertainment. I've had a good time watching this. It's pretty enjoyable despite the fact that I want to rip my head off anytime a certain character that contributes absolutely nothing to the progression of the story opens his mouth, which is pretty often because he's on screen a lot. It's just a
Liam
fun
Neeson.
story about samurai space wizards getting shipwrecked on a desert planet. Also, Darth Maul is spectacular, and it really sucks that he was there and gone so quickly. Episode 2 came out 3 years later and had better visual effects, and that's about the extent of it, so let's get moving along. Acting. Not great.
Wait, Sam,
Yeah, what's up?
if this movie only came out 3 years after the last one, then how did the kid from Jingle All the Way grow up so much?
Be quiet. Ewan McGregor is still the star of the show. Hayden Christensen shows up as adult Anakin, and, you know, he does a one-note job, while his scene partner, Natalie Portman, has become a much better actor in a few years, and this leaves Christensen's performance feeling even more blah. Frank Oz and Christopher Lee, however, are very on point in their bits. Unfortunately, the story is mostly focused on Anakin. Now, if we talk about the
You
script...
know that Frank Oz did his own stunts for that scene? Sam, tell us about the script.
Yeah, I'll tell you about the
Yeah.
script. So Obi-Wan's plot is actually great. I'm a fan of it. He's tailing a bounty hunter to a dark, rainy planet and discovers a clone army, and that's really captivating. And it feels authentic to the character as well, considering that Alec Guinness's Obi-Wan in Episode 4 is sneaking around to the Death Star to turn off the shields or whatever. But meanwhile, Anakin's love and descent into madness plot, it could be good, but ooh boy, it is not put together well. The things that come out of this boy's mouth are just not good. And I am shocked that the Jedi have not put Anakin into some sort of anger management or something, because when he's angry, he just goes off. However, if we talk about the necessity of this film, it is, I think, important to the saga. Since telling the story of Anakin and Obi-Wan, there was a bit of exposition in Episode 4 where it was said that they fought in the Clone Wars together. And while it wasn't handled very tactfully, Anakin's story with Padme and his struggle with the dark side are still important to the character's development, because by the end of Episode 3, we have to have the two babies, the Jedi gone, and Anakin has to be evil. Now, if we move on to quotability here, I've got a few. I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. That was said by Anakin Skywalker to Padme. I hate it when he does that, said by Obi-Wan Kenobi, as soon as Anakin jumps out of a flying car, I guess. I killed them. I killed them all. They're dead. Every single one of them. Said by Anakin Skywalker,
What
of
a
course.
fun movie.
Yeah, it's such a great...
Just
time.
love to go back to
Show
that.
it to your kids.
As you can see, I could quote one more thing from this film than the last. It did not captivate me as much as the others, which brings me to entertainment. I get bored whenever Anakin is on screen. The whole bit in the droid factory is kind of tense, but I was only ever really intrigued when the film was following Obi-Wan or during the final lightsaber battle with Count Dooku. But it feels arduous getting through the film to that scene, and that shouldn't be the case. Moving on to episode 3, Revenge of the Sith came out 3 years after its predecessor. And this time, we've got even more blue screens and even better effects. This film is so nice just to look at sometimes. If we talk about the acting, it is better than episode 1, but still a bit stiff in some places. Natalie has really gotten the hang of it, and by Jorge, Ewan McGregor is still knocking it out of the park. Ian McDiarmid does some good load bearing here too. General Grievous doesn't seem to have much emotion in his voice. He's pretty one note, and Anakin is still one note as well. This time, a lot of brooding, but he amps it up with some anger and yelling later on.
I thought Grievous was a little robotic.
Yeah. So anyway, Anakin, there's actually...
I get it!
There's also this one kid who's like 5, and he says, Master Skywalker, what are we going to do? It isn't the best line read, but it's cute because he's a kid. And then Anakin kills them all. Which brings us to the script, which is... it is leagues better than episode 2.
Similarly hacked to pieces.
Anakin is still the flying hotshot he has always been, but the love subplot feels so much more natural in this film than it did in episode 2. The biggest gripe I have with the script is Anakin's issues. He kills Dooku and then immediately says, I shouldn't have done that. But he hesitated for like 10 seconds before he actually cut off his head. Then there's the bits with Palpatine where Anakin is just too blinded by friendship and mentorship in order to see the big red flags he's waving and saying, I'm the bad guy. And then when he does figure it out, he goes back to save his life and then goes on to be a child murderer. Anakin must have had some sort of mental illness if he could have changed that harshly, that easily. And now if we talk about the necessity of this film, we get to see all of the things we knew were coming pay off. Padme has twins, we see the Jedi eliminated, Obi-Wan goes into exile, and most importantly, Anakin becomes Darth Vader. And it remains quite memorable, too. Sorry, Master, said by Anakin Skywalker multiple times. So uncivilized, said by Obi-Wan Kenobi after shooting Grievous with a blaster and realizing that he just used a blaster. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering, said by Master Yoda. Power, unlimited power, said by Darth Sidious. Do it, said by Chancellor Palpatine.
A different person than Darth Sidious.
Entirely. Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Would you like to?
Let her go, Anakin. Let her go, said by Obi-Wan Kenobi, as Anakin is choking his wife.
For the family.
To be fair, this film is the only film that was rated PG-13.
Because in the movie he's using the Force, but the way you said that makes it sound like he's just Homer Simpson. Just, why, you little...
Don't!
Then execute Order 66. It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground. You underestimate my power. Don't try it. Ah! Chop.
Chop.
You were the chosen one. It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them, bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness. I hate you. You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you.
I loved you.
I think you get the gist. This movie sticks with you.
It's like a finely aged soap opera.
Entertainment. Why does this movie stick with you? Well, because it's interesting. It keeps you engaged throughout. And also, we get to see Anakin go from this to this to this.
Beauty is painful, Sam.
Also, every other Star Wars film seems to have a lightsaber battle at the end of the film, but here you get one in the first 10 minutes, 2 in the middle, and 2 at the end. Jorge really decided to go all out on this one because it's probably the last film, you know? But little did he know that the mouse was coming for him. Now, I want you to look at these 3 movie posters side by side and tell me which one you would rather watch if you had no idea what the movie was about.
The last one.
If we're just talking about the poster, episode 2 has the best poster.
My counter argument here. Episode 1 looks like a sci-fi nativity story. Episode 2 looks like a sci-fi romance novel. And episode 3 looks sci-fi Return of the King.
Weird nap. Where the fuck did you find that?
It's a jewel of a find.
That's the only book I have on my bookshelf. You pull that book, it opens my secret door. And when you open up my secret door, there's a pedestal that has another copy of Weird Nap, and that's it.
Bam, 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 bam. Of course, it's episode 3. What do you think? I'm some kind of schmuck? Some kind of dimwit? No, this is easily the most entertaining film of the bunch, and it has all of the payoffs the prequels were working towards. And if nothing else, this movie is a popsicle on a hot summer day. It's nice, it's refreshing, it tastes good and fruity, and, you know, as long as you're not near the beach or anything, you won't have to worry about that coarse, rough sand getting everywhere. Anyway, that was Star Wars: The Preqs. That's the end. Go take a weird nap.
I don't like Skyrim.
We know.
So this is 5 reasons why Skyrim rustles my jimmies. Number 1,
Todd.
the setting is boring as hell.
How
And
does
now,
it sound very
granted,
boring?
I am not talking about the whole of Tamriel, because Tamriel has a bunch of weirdo, amazing fantasy shit, like the fact that there are 8 billion types of Khajiit that range from ordinary house cat to saber-toothed tiger to weird Zootopia character, and they're all equally intelligent. You got, in Black Marsh, 1,000-year-old sentient trees that the Argonians harvest sap from and, like, kind of worship, but also have, like, a symbiotic relationship with. You got the elves over in the Somerset Isles fighting Jabba the Hutts with their glorious Nippon steel. Up here in Hammerfell, you got the Red Guard doing their Prince of Persia thing. Any of these would be excellent settings for a game. Unfortunately, Skyrim, as you can tell by the title, is set none of those places. But in Skyrim. You know what's in Skyrim, Jason?
Snow?
There's pine trees,
Okay.
there's snow,
Right.
and there's white men having a disagreement.
Correct. All of his
Fucking riveting. I know what you're saying. Oh, but the dragons are cool. No, they ruined dragons too. But believe me, we'll get to the dragons. Oh, look, the dragons in Skyrim are pathetic.
Why must you be this way?
When you think of a dragon, you think of a legendary mythic creature with which a glorious warrior can have an epic duel.
Does that dragon have Momo's face?
Fantasy music and da, 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 da. We don't have any of that. You know what happens in Skyrim? The town guard shows up whenever there's a dragon, and you, the player character, just has to wait around until they do enough little pips of damage. Wait for it. It's coming. It's almost there. Hold on. Here we go.
How much time?
All right. The dragon's dead, and now you get to swoop in and grab its soul, because that's what the hero does in this game. Number 3, everything's gray and washed out. Does this image ignite feelings of the call to adventure?
It ignites images of Norway. or
How about
Scotland.
this? Or that? I'm not one to complain about the graphics, but when there are video games out there whose whole, like, identity is rooted in having a distinct and pleasing visual style, and you expect me to put up with this, the Quaker oatmeal of video games, the game that looks how droopy sounds, no. No thank you. Number 4, this game is full of bugs and barely works. And as you can see, some of these are kind of funny. But also, some of this stuff is not only immersion breaking, but experience wrecking, depending on when and where they crop up. But let's get down to brass tacks and hit the nail on the head, why don't we? The real problem with Skyrim is that the game cannot find a point. Now listen to me. I should like Skyrim. Skyrim contains a lot of things that I like in video games. It's an open world game, which I enjoy. It's got a cool fantasy-like vibe. It's an RPG. There's tons of side quests and characters and weird stuff.
And Mario's in it.
It should be one of my favorite games ever. Just like some of these games,
What?
but
Breath
it's
of the
not.
Wild.
Don't worry about that. But it's not. Like, take a look at the timeline for some of these games.
I think
In Breath of the Wild, you wake up, You are given the option of putting on pants. You don't even have to do that. You collect all your smartphone apps, you get exposition from Grandpa, go. You have all the information you need to complete the game and know what your goal is. Fallout 3, you spend your whole life in the vault. That sounds long, but it takes about 20 minutes. You gotta save Butch's mom or be an ass and leave. You escape the vault, and then you gotta go find the convenience store your dad is out buying cigarettes from. Easy. Fallout New Vegas, get shot in the head, recover from getting shot in the head for a few days, find Chandler, ask that motherfucker why he shot you in the head.
A masterpiece.
Concise. It's simple. Even games that are like relatively weaker on the writing, like Fallout 4, where the whole plot is just gimme back my son, or Oblivion, where the plot is gimme back Patrick Stewart's son, or Outer Worlds, where it's gimme the drugs for the scientist from Rick and Morty. You know what the game's about. You know what you're going towards and what you need in order to be a successful protagonist. But what about Skyrim? Here's all the hoops you gotta jump through in Skyrim. Not the plot, mind you, just to figure out what the premise of this game is. You gotta escape execution / burn a nation. You're gonna get your head chopped off. There's a dragon. It's an action sequence. All right. You have to follow one of the guards who was going to execute you, who tells you not to follow him, by the way, but you are supposed to follow him, because if you don't, you'll miss like the game assigning you a class, and talk to his dad, the blacksmith.
And you can
Then the
follow
blacksmith goes and tells you to talk to the Jarl. Then the Jarl tells you to talk to his shitty magician and get the Dragon Stone so they can go to Dragonland. Then you have to figure out how the fuck to climb up a mountain to get to where the Dragon Stone is. This is extremely frustrating and shouldn't be. Then you gotta bring back the Dragon Stone, and uh-oh, there's a dragon. Time to watch the town guards kill a dragon.
Don't
Then you learn that you are the Dragonborn, but we're still not done, because you have to go find the Greybeards, who are the slowest, most boring men in video games,
Oh, the
possibly in
Greybeards
modern media.
The
And
Greybeards are
then,
awful.
finally, once you've done the 3-hour tutorial with the Greybeards about how to yell at things, you finally receive your mission to stop the dragons from destroying Skyrim. By this time, I have already gotten so fed up with the game that I just put on something else. Bear in mind that at any point during this transaction where you're figuring out what this game is about, you're allowed to just fuck off to nowhere, set your own path, and ignore the main quest. Hopefully you'll figure it out later, and that is why Skyrim is a uh-oh! Woo, woo, woo! Breaking news! A new piece of information just came across my desk. It appears that Skyrim has a funny clown man. Uh-oh! So it turns out that while Skyrim gets a Russell Jimmy out of 5, the Dark Brotherhood side quest 100% certified fresh. Good night.
Beautiful, it's beautiful. Mwah, mwah. I want to put it in a bowl and serve it to my family.
Serve it to my child.
I want
What?
to serve it to my children. I want to put it in a bowl so that they
I
can all
want to put
slap
it
it
in a-
up.
I want to put it in a bowl, Mummy.
No, you get a plate. I'm sorry.
You know how British people talk?